Welcome to Ask a Lawyer with the attorneys at Hepworth Holzer, life-changing law in Boise, Idaho. Today, it's John Kluckstall. John focuses on medical negligence claims and is an AV preeminent peer review, rated by his peers in Martindale-Hubbell. John answers your questions about the law and how it affects you.
When my medical malpractice case is over, who gets the money and why?
Okay, so as I mentioned, we do represent our clients most of the time on a contingency fee basis. And so what that means is our clients don't have any risk in paying us attorney fees unless we make a recovery. And then our attorney fee is a percentage of that recovery. And so from, let's say it's $100,000 that is recovered, a percentage will go toward the attorney fee. And then second, the costs that I talked about, we have to pay experts. The county charges us $221 to file a lawsuit. There are a number of costs, including deposition transcripts that we have to purchase that will then be paid off. Then the last item before we get to what the clients receive is if there are any medical bills that have been paid out of this. And I think we're going to talk about that later. But if there are any medical bills that have had to be paid out of this, then we pay off the medical bills. And so then the net recovery is to the client. But generally it goes to attorney fees, costs, medical bills, and the client.
Why do I have to pay back insurance?
So if you are, for example, a Blue Cross insured, which is a larger insurer in Idaho, your health insurance contract says we, Blue Cross, will pay your medical bills. But if someone else is found to be at fault for your medical bills and you make a recovery against that person for your medical bills, then you have to pay us back. And so, and then there's also for like if you're a Medicare or a Medicaid insured, then you have a statute that says you have to pay them back if you make a recovery against someone who caused you to incur the medical bills. But in the end, we typically negotiate. If it's Medicare or Medicaid, and let's say Medicare has paid $100 for a medical bill, then the statute actually says that Medicare has to reduce by a proportionate share of attorney fees and costs. And the idea behind that, I think, is that you, the patient or the client, you've incurred all of this risk and all of this cost, and you've had to pay attorney fees. And so Medicare or Blue Cross, in the end, shouldn't be able to just stick out their hand and say, we paid $100, give us $100. And so the idea behind it is they have to share proportionately with the client. So if the client out of every $100 is paying 40 cents for attorney fees and costs, then Medicare will only get paid back 60 cents of the $100 or $60 out of the $100. And then sometimes we negotiate with them even further. In fact, sometimes that can be a very big part of my job is negotiating with health insurers regarding what they should be paid back. And sometimes it's very important because, for example, there may be insurance limits. The third party who's at fault for what happened to you, they may only have a certain amount of insurance that doesn't cover all of your medical bills. And so if that's the case, a big part of my job is going to the health insurer or Medicare and trying to convince them, hey, there's just not enough money to go around. You guys need to make this big reduction so that it can be fair to my client.
Okay, I see. Now, why didn't my hospital get the discount from my health insurance?
So this, it depends, basically. The hospitals, at least locally in Idaho, when there's been medical negligence or another personal injury type of situation, and the hospital has a $100,000 medical bill, maybe the person was in there for 20 days or something. The hospital sometimes will bill Blue Cross or Medicare or whoever the health insurer is. Sometimes my clients don't have health insurance, and so the hospital creates a lien against the case that we have. And then sometimes the hospital will not bill the health insurance. And the reason for that is pretty simple. They think they can get paid more by trying to come against the case or the lawsuit, as opposed to taking whatever reductions health insurance requires. So Blue Cross, with the hospitals, they negotiate every year. And if the health insurance receives a $100 bill, they might have an agreement with the hospital that they'll only have to pay $60. I'm sure most of my clients have seen that on their bills. Oh, my bill from my doctor was $100, but we only actually paid $60. And so that's what's going on there, is they have negotiated what each charge will actually be billed at. And then with Medicare, it has statutory rates that it'll pay. And it typically pays even less than, for example, Blue Cross. And so the idea behind the hospital not wanting to bill Blue Cross or Medicare is because they want to get paid $100 out of a $100 bill instead of $60 or instead of $40. And then we typically, if that has happened, we typically do then negotiate with the hospital regarding what it will receive in the end as well.
Thanks for listening to Ask a Lawyer with the attorneys at Hepworth Holzer, life-changing law in Boise, Idaho. Join us next time as they answer your questions about the law and how it affects you. They can be reached at 208-343-7510 or hepworthholzer.com.